Welcome to the CMO Chapter podcast, where we dive deep into the dynamic world of Chief Marketing Officers. Join us as we explore the careers, insights, and strategies of top marketing executives who shape the brands we know and love. Whether you're a seasoned marketer, aspiring CMO, or simply just curious to understand what it really takes to step into the shoes of a CMO. This podcast is your backstage pass to discovering what it's like to really lead and innovate in the ever-evolving landscape of business. Stay tuned as we uncover the stories of the visionaries behind the brand. Mr. Ryan Gracie, welcome to the CMO Chapter podcast.
Wow, I all of a sudden just got a little bit nervous then after this introduction. Thanks for having me.
You're very, very welcome. Well, thank you so much. I know you're between Sydney, Melbourne, here, there, and everywhere at the moment. So thank you so much for making the time. I really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you having me. And I walked into the store this morning. I'm in a big W store. You can see I've got my name tag on here. And I was, for the past 3 days, I've been in the Sydney store in Pagewood, learning the ropes, been on the floor with the people, which is great. I've learnt so much. And today I'm in the High Point store, and I walked in and I was like, well, I'm just trying to get my bearings of which state I'm in, where I'm at. Sometimes I just don't know if I'm on my feet.
Find your feet again. Well, look, Ryan, I'm really, really thrilled to have you on. I know we've been having conversations throughout the last couple of months, and, you're somebody that we've been, following your career to a degree, and there's a lot we're going to unpack, I've got no doubt. So before we sort of dig into it, I'm going to ask you, can you kind of give us a quick sort of intro on who you are and what you're about?
My name is Ryan Gracie. I'm the Chief Customer and Revenue Officer at Big W. Newly appointed. I've only been in the job now for 3 weeks, 3 weeks yesterday. So very fresh, very fresh. Look, prior to that, I was the CMO for Woolworths Market Plus. So Woolworths Market Plus is the marketplace portfolio of Woolworths. And the way that came about was I was the CMO of My Deal, so an online pure play who was acquired by Woolworths back in 2021. So Sean Senverte, the founder of that business, we were ASX listed. We sold it to Woolworths for $270 million.
Yeah.
And as part of that acquisition, I became the CMO for the portfolio. But prior to that, I was also in an online pure play that many people would know, Catch, previously Catch of the Day. So I was there from 2016 to 2021 as the CMO for that business, which just incredible.
Yeah.
So it's been the last 9 years of my career has been exciting.
Yeah.
Never a dull moment. A couple of big acquisitions. We sold Catch to Wesfarmers as well. So a little bit of deja vu when I went to My Deal, but in all the right ways. So it's been great.
Absolutely. So look, you've done a lot. I mean, I'm going to sort of scale it back a bit. We're going to go back to sort of like the roots where it all began, because I guess I'm quite curious. I want to tap into this because I look at people like you, you've had this incredible career so far where you have, you work for, in my book, some really top tier brands within Australia. And, you've been at the helm in terms of leading that marketing function. So when I look back at your career though, and your education, even back when you were at school, I saw you were like school captain, and then you did an MBA, and then you did like a distinction.
Let me give you the caveat on the school captain part. So I grew up in Port Kembla,
right,
which is a suburb in Wollongong, just south of Sydney. And when I went to school, I finished school in 1992, so that was forever ago.
Yeah.
We were still using a chisel and a hammer to write our essays. I was the school captain. But I think, and I'm going to be very frank here, I think I was the best of a bad bunch, right? Our school did not aspire to educational excellence at the time. It was just a struggle to get through, to be honest. And for the record, I was a primary school captain as well, but I think it was the same case. There's one thing I've got in common with my dad. We're both school captain at the same school. So it was a bit of a rough education, and I didn't go to university straight after school. And the day I finished school, I literally started a full-time job in television as a cameraman.
Yeah, right.
I didn't go to university until I was 30 years old. So there's no undergraduate. I went straight into an MBA program, which was sponsored by Bruce Gordon, who was the owner of Win Television.
Yeah, okay.
Where I was working at the time. A tremendous man. And that was kind of the crux. So everything I've had to learn, most of it I've had to learn on the job, and that formalised education came later in life. So, a bit of a struggle.
Because that's it, when you look at things like, I was looking obviously your LinkedIn and doing my research beforehand, and you sort of go, are you this kind of like natural sort of high achiever that's always sort of reached for the stars and, you knew early on that you wanted to be in these leadership roles? Have you just always
No,
been driven?
not at all. Not at all. No, we're like going back to where I grew up. Being a good plumber or a good electrician was the high watermark,
Right, yeah.
and it's still a great watermark, right? But for me, and I've done those things. I've actually got a rigger's ticket, so I can put together a crane if you want me to.
Love it. Brilliant.
But I think that it was my mum who saw that that I had more to offer than just being a rigger or being a plumber or a tradie. And she was always stopping me from doing things. In year 10, I said I was going to quit school and go and work at the railways because I could earn, $37,000 a year, and that's tremendous. And she said, "Well, no, you're not. You're going back to school.
Yeah, right.
You have to do these things. There's more. You have more to offer. So go on." But I didn't see that. I never ever saw that. And it's only that, like, it's just through osmosis that I've got to where I am. Just because I do find that I have this drive to, it's a strange thing. My drive isn't to make money. Money is a consequence sometimes. My drive is to see how far I can take this from a very low base. And every day I just love to meet new people and I love to learn new things. And it's a consequence of doing those things that, I find myself where I am.
So is that more something that, you talk about wanting to take it from a very low base? So is that more like you just love the challenge? It's like,
I love the challenge. Yeah. So when you have a very uncomfortable upbringing, then you don't find other things that other people would find uncomfortable. I don't find uncomfortable. Right? To me, it's kind of just native and natural, and that's the way it is. It's a struggle. When you grow up in a struggle, then nothing is hard. I'm making it sound like I had a really bad childhood, but I actually had an incredible childhood. It's only when you reflect on it when you're older that I went without a lot of things, and I think that's actually a good thing. Like I worry about my son because I give him so much, and I don't make it hard enough for him. I need him to feel some struggle in order to survive in the real world later on, and I think that's kind of what's happening in society a lot of the time.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, but for me, there is this innate drive. Somehow I don't consciously think about it, but I get out of bed with a yearning to do more and more every day. I don't know where that comes from.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, it's in you. It's part of your personality. It's getting you to this far. So definitely not a bad thing. So I want to tap into this. Like you've been, CMO, these real high profile brands, etc. And now you're in, I mean, I'd love to know a little bit more. Like you're in what it seems like almost like a slightly different role, like a customer revenue officer. So what's the difference between that and a CMO?
I think it extends beyond the CMO function, which is mainly around, so how do you market? How do you take this brand to market using the channels and taking the message out there?
Yeah.
I think this straddles across, well, what is that true customer experience all the way through? We're talking omni-channel. Now I have this in-store remit, which scares the shit out of me because it is large, 178 odd stores and 16,000 people and $5 billion worth of revenue that we have to drive. And how do you straddle all of those things and make sure that at every customer touch point that the experience is great, and that if I can take the online parlance to this in-store world, how do you drive conversion rate optimization across all that we do?
Mm-hmm.
And then the revenue component is how do we drive, or how do we extend to the bottom line the income that we generate from the things? I think that retail media is something that is not untapped because we do it really, really well in the business, but something that we can extend on.
Yep.
Something that is delivering real results for the business, but also delivering great results for the brands that utilize it right at the bottom of the funnel, of course, right at that point of conversion. I just had a great meeting with Nintendo, who's here in the store, and they're loving what they see and they're loving the results that they're getting from it because
Brilliant.
This is a place that they're now investing. And then how do we just drive revenue across all of our touch points? I think that there's opportunity, and I won't go into them because it's strategic, but there's just opportunity for us to not always have to sell the product to make the money, but to look at ancillary ways of generating income, especially to the bottom line.
Yeah.
And we know that retail is tough, right? Retail is very, very tough. It's hard to make a dollar. And you look at, we're part of Woolworths, which is just amazing.
Yeah.
I think they're making 3 cents in every dollar when it comes down to it. It's a hard way to generate an income. So you need to watch nickel and dime, what the costs all the way through, and just make sure that you're doing, firstly, the right thing by the customer.
Yeah.
You're offering the right product at the right price, but you're also making enough margin to survive.
Yeah.
And I think we're doing a good job of that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's so much opportunity for you guys, I've got no doubt. And I think with you at the helm, I mean, it's a smart move from their part, and getting you in the driving seat. So,
well, what I hope is that the people that have come before me have done this amazing job of setting it all up, and I just get to ride on the coattails, and away we go. Because they've done an incredible job of turning this business around.
Yeah.
And now the foundations are strong, and we just have to take it to that next level.
Brilliant. I love it. It's exciting. A quick question I'm curious to ask as well. So at the moment, and look, I guess over the last, I'm going to say 18 months, I've been having conversations with, various GMs, heads of, etc., CMOs. And one question, I'd love to get your opinion on this. Do you see that there's going to be sort of this evolution, this change in regards to like where the CMO role sits at some point in the future? Because some people are saying, oh, it's going to dissolve and we'll all become chief customer officers, or it's we've got chief growth officers now coming through. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
It's interesting. Chief growth officer was another consideration, I think. But I think having the revenue component of my title might be an indication as to where things are going.
Yeah.
Because more and more, rather than just being the colouring in department, which is traditionally what marketing was, they look to us around the X-code table to where is the money?
Yeah.
Show us the money. How are you driving trade, and how are you fulfilling our budget dreams? So we need a more commercial lens. So I've always made it part of my role to be very embedded in the commercial team, whether it just be from product sourcing, but also around pricing, margin, etc. And then always sitting with CFOs to look at the balance sheets and read the financial docs and be very immersed in what's going on commercially and from a fiscal perspective as to how we're traveling. So you want that seat at the table. As a CMO, you need that seat at the table. You need to understand how your spend is impacting sales, reducing the areas where you're not impacting sales and it's detrimental to the bottom line, and of course increasing on the other side. But also just being able to talk the talk with the financial actuaries who make very binary decisions based on lines in a spreadsheet, and being able to add some colour and some flavour in the commentary that would perhaps skew change opinion, but reinforced with fact, and coming to the table. And I think the CMO has a role to play in bringing the right data to the table also. So working very closely with the data and analytics teams, because turning up and saying, well, we just think it's the right thing to do, and the customer loves it, just is the bullshit that doesn't cut it anymore.
Not going to fly.
Yeah, give me the proof. So I think that CMOs they just need to wear a more commercial hat, and look at things through that lens a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And throughout when I've been doing these podcast episodes, there's been, I've had some quite honest, frank conversations with many. You don't wake up one day and obviously become this fabulous, amazing CMO and you've got all the tools in your toolbox. There's a lot of hard lessons along the way. And I think, that just comes with, maturity and I guess experience as we go. But in your case, as you've evolved, has there been any elements where you've had to really go, you know what, I'm just, when you're becoming this sort of broader picture, you have to be, the finance person, you've got to know your data, you've got to know everything. So has there been any areas you've had to really kind of dig deep to make an effort to really sort of up the ante and almost, I guess, make sure you've got the right skills to be able to really do your job? Any areas you've had to focus on?
Yeah, I think at heart, and when I think back to school, I was very creative. I was well into photography. I used to paint a lot. My family's very artistic. So the artistry came. The artistry was natural to me. But also the science part. I love, for some strange reason, I love numbers, and I think I get that from my dad. I see it in my son also. And part of my history is that I was actually a professional punter, a professional gambler at the races.
Yeah,
right? Strange thing. I can see it in your eyes. You're like, what? That's strange. I also became a bookmaker, right? So I used to stand there and produce the odds and frame a market, and it's very analytical and very much like a stock market, a mini stock market every 3 minutes. So from that point of view, it was all about the numbers, it's all about percentages, it's all about being able to tweak them in order to make a profit. So in my mind, it's always the art is, I feel like that's innate and native, and then the numbers I learnt and how to apply the two, I think, is where the real magic happens, because being a marketer really is a blend of the art and the science. And to be a CMO, if you don't have the right balance of both.
Absolutely.
Then you'll need to surround yourself with people who do.
Yeah.
Or you'll fall over. So yeah, but even just thinking about where and how I've navigated my career, and I consciously thought about this when I updated my profile recently and announced my new job, because I sat there. I was actually on a plane. I was flying back from Europe, and I thought, well, what am I going to say here? Because I was straddling this strange tension between we're winding down my deal, because we're evolving it to a bigger thing. We're transitioning my deal to BW Market, which is just incredible and really, really good news for the business and actually part of the strategy. But at the same time, I'm leaving my MyDeal family. There's impact to some roles there, which is not ideal. Some really incredible people. And here I am announcing my new role. Oh, congrats, Ryan. Yeah, well done, mate. You've got yourself a new job.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, it made me think about how I'd come to this. And I came up with 5, I'll call them my 5 principles as to how I got there. And the first one was, I've always surrounded myself with really, really quality people, right? Not consciously, but if I found myself not surrounded by quality people, I would just find the good people in the room.
You'd feel it.
Yeah. And not just surround yourself with them, but listen, learn, and just soak in the goodness. But on the flip side, also learn from the badness. Not all people are good. And I think that if you can learn what bad looks like, and don't let that emanate, then I think that's a good thing. So really just my whole life, maybe that's a networking thing, but in the workplaces, I've just made sure that I've been amongst smart people. And then you have this halo of intellect that tends to rub off, or entrepreneurialism or agility or get shit done, like whatever it might be, you just learn from that. And then ever since I was a kid, and my dad gave me a plaque when I was very young about, I asked too many questions. Like I must have asked a lot of questions when I was young. Like, will you ever stop asking? But the essence was, don't ever stop asking. So I've always remained curious, right? So number 2 would be that I remain curious. I forever ask questions. I don't always have the answers to things, but I think that's fine, because we will go off and we will seek the answer. But I think by asking questions, you're agitating, as long as they're the right ones, not just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
And one other thing that I realize is, as you grow through the ranks, the more senior you get, if you ask a question, a lot of people run off to try to answer it, which sometimes creates a lot of work, sometimes creates a lot of tension, sometimes it can create confusion.
Yeah.
So I tend to think about the questions I'm asking so I don't trigger any strange responses, genuinely because I really want to know the answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also, and I said this earlier, that discomfort is a natural part of my life. So I actively seek discomfort. So constantly trying to find that place where I don't feel at home.
Yeah.
And I definitely feel that now. Like I know that after 3 weeks in this role, like I'm super uncomfortable. I'm hearing acronyms I've never heard before. I'm sitting in rooms of people who are just master retailers and, superior intellects. And you feel that, oh shit, like what am I doing here? And maybe we can get on to imposter syndrome later. That's a whole different game. But seeking discomfort is something that I've always looked for. And that's what takes you to the next level. Because if you're not feeling discomfort, then you're just not going anywhere, really. If you're comfortable, it's either, well, you're settled and you're done. Like forget about the
I'm
growth.
starting to think, Ryan, that you'd be a really great contender for that reality show Alone. And we could that you'd be really in your sweet spot.
I think I'd enjoy it. I'd make sure I took a bottle. I saw the recent guy found a bottle that was saving his life. And then the 4th one would be that no matter where you go, you need to create value, right? You can't just do all of these things without actually contributing to the business. And that could be through, at certain levels, the strategy, it could be through action, but either way, in my case, I think it's through energy.
Yeah.
I like to bring some energy to the room. I like to have conversations with people, and build relationships. But also, I do have a bias for action. So I can be. Obviously, I need to be strategic and I need to think strategy all the time. But I get most excited when I see the rubber hit the road.
Yeah.
And I see the things come to life, and I see the results of the strategy. That's what I really, really enjoy. And then, of course, the last one, number 5, would be just to keep moving forward. And when I talk about the low base, this has just been a series of just keep walking forward. Just keep walking forward. You'll get knocked over every now and then, and the side might go sideways. I didn't tell you the part where, when I was a bookmaker and a professional punter, I went into racehorse syndication, and then I went completely broke.
Gosh.
I lost all of my money, and I lived in a shed for a while, and I had nothing.
Wow.
And that wasn't much fun, but I knew that I just had to keep moving,
Yeah.
keep working
Wow.
forward.
Gosh.
And it was at that stage that I called Bruce Gordon and the team again at Win TV and said, I have no money. Can I please have a job?
Yeah.
And he
Wow.
said, yeah, come back and work in my radio network,
My
which I
gosh.
eventually went on to run. So, yeah, the idea is just get up, move on,
Yeah.
brush it off, keep moving forward.
Well, it's a
Yeah.
lot of resilience, and I'm really glad that you've kind of given us a bit of background there because, I think sometimes people can, I mean, let's be honest, like they look at people like yourself or, CMOs and especially, brands like where you are today, and they can be this sort of like, oh, born with a silver spoon and
No,
always, private or all this kind of, but, and this is why I love these conversations because you just dig a bit deeper and you're like, bloody hell, like, it's been tough. Like, I mean, yeah, losing all your money and living in a shed like for a couple of years, that's pretty significant. So I think it's fair to say you've definitely got some resilience about you there.
I think that we're breeding resilience out of society, I think, is what's happening. We tend to pander to everyone's needs and they always take the easy route. And like I mentioned earlier, I fear that for my son, and I probably sometimes I'm a little bit too hard. And Hudson, when you watch this in 10 years' time, I love you lots, but I had to push you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's I think that if we lose this, then lots of things come undone that we just won't do the hard things. And as soon as you stop doing the hard things, then you don't progress.
Yeah.
But when I look around the room, it may be that people went to a private school and they had the silver spoon,
Mm-hmm.
but there are lots of people that do that also. And I hang out with lots of people that went to private
Yeah.
schools and had silver
Yeah. Yeah.
spoons, and all right, great, they're enjoying their lives, but they don't. You still have to push yourself.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, the right kid with the wrong education but the right attitude, I think will always win that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not call it a fight, but if success is about how far you can squeeze life, then I think they will always go further. And sometimes the silver spoon can be a hindrance. I think it really can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the right attitude is number one in my book. Even when we look at hiring, it's kind of like
Yes.
they've got, and I'm sure you've seen it yourself when you've hired
Guaranteed.
people. It's like they might not have the biggest brands, but have they got the smart? Have they got the right attitude? You'll bet on them. You'll take them.
Attitude every single time. I don't even look at the education to start with. I get them in the room. I want to feel the energy.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear the questions that they ask. And if they ask if they can work from home 5 days a week, I generally cross them off the list. I'm okay with 2. But like, it's all about attitude. It's all about wanting to put themselves out there and seeking that discomfort in order to grow.
Yeah.
Sometimes the pace that they walk at, to get to my office, I go up 2 sets of escalators every day. And the people that stand on escalators and don't walk on escalators, I would never hire, because I feel like they're just standing there wasting their time getting a free ride. If you walk, just walk at a regular pace, you'll get there twice as fast on an escalator.
Yeah.
So there's just something in the way that people hold themselves that gives them an edge sometimes.
Yeah, I love that. Gosh, you're so right. Well, I've always tended to walk on escalators because I just feel guilty.
Get out of my way.
All the steps.
Get out of my way. I've got places to go.
So I'm curious. I mean, one of the reasons why I love these conversations is because I am trying to, educate the next generation of, leaders around, what it's like to obviously, be used in a CMO and, the C-suite top spot. So if you sort of look back at, Ryan Gracie, 25 again, is there anything that from your learnings, like, is there any recommendations or any advice that you would give marketers today and say, you know what, you need to be focusing on this and this to sort of get ahead, or any areas of marketing specifically you'd advise them to really start to focus on?
It's interesting because when I was 25, that's when I went broke.
Yeah.
So
The good
I think about
broke.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. In hindsight, losing everything is a good thing. At the time, it was not so great. But I think that going back to square one after you've had a crack at something, after you've given it the roll of the dice, is fine.
Yeah.
And maybe everyone should fail at least once in life, so long as you can climb back out of it. But I think advice to like a younger CMO would be, all right, so if you want to be a CMO, that means that you are essentially a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
And I would call myself maybe a master of few, but not all. And I rely on my incredible team to do all. So if that is where you want to go, unless you want to be an SEM specialist, a social specialist, an email specialist, all of the things, then you need to, maybe they call this the frog in the pond effect. The smaller the pond, most people are comfortable in, or the frog's most comfortable in this small pond. You need to extend the size of the pond. Like, you need to swim further. You need to extend those boundaries and learn the things. Like I said earlier, learn the commercial literature. Be able to sit in front of finance people and talk about accruals and how you provision for stock, which is a conversation I just had out there on the store floor, and know the things that they're talking about in order to be able to justify a seat around the table. And I know that you're only 25 and there's no expectation that you should know these things.
Yeah.
But if you start to learn them, then all of a sudden you have an edge over everyone else who is in the room wanting to also be a CMO, wanting to also. But then I think that, all right, so they're the hard skills. Developing as a leader, knowing how to inspire people to a common goal and getting people to work with you and for you without them even knowing it, I think is half the battle, because there's this like transactional versus transformational leadership tension. Like, transactional is where you just yell and scream at someone and they do what they're told.
Yeah.
But transformational is where you don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to ask. They just do because they really want to work with you, for you, achieve what it is that you've set. So I think that you can spot a potential CMO in a room at 25 or 30. You can. Not because of the skills that they know, but because of the conversations that they can hold, not just with the people above, sideways, but also below. And
I agree.
Sometimes,
I agree.
Yeah, if they're treating the people below them with disrespect, I think that's a real red flag. Because, the whole, from the janitor to the CMO, CEO, everyone the same. Everyone should be treated the same. So I think that comes out in the way people treat people.
Oh, look, absolutely, 100%. And I've been having conversations recently with individuals that, for the first time ever in their career, they're experiencing a bad leader. And I had one actually yesterday, and it was like, this is actually a good thing, because it's and I actually said to this person, I said, this is the first time this has happened. And it was like, yes. And I said, look, this is a good thing, because trust me, as you progress, you'll be giving advice around what you're feeling now with the next, with your group, with other people that, perhaps experience this in the same. So, back to your point around, losing everything and starting again, I think, look, it says a lot, having to go through things like that, for sure.
Yeah, I think it, I think they call it character building, but also with 25-year-olds, I mentioned the back to office thing. I think that the competitive advantage that a 25-year-old has now is proximity, and proximity to good people.
Yeah.
And to my first principle, surround yourself with exceptional people and learn from them. That is not happening when you're sitting at home. And the competitive advantage is that if you're there and you're building relationships and you're listening and you're learning and you're having hallway conversations with senior people, then you build up a personal brand. You are able to action things that other people couldn't because you hear them.
Yeah.
And you can say, oh, no worries, I'll grab that. I can get that for you, no worries. And from doing that, you will learn something. I just feel like it's almost easier now to grow through an organization than it has been in the past, because in the past, let's rewind 10 years ago, everyone was in the room.
Yeah.
Everyone had an equal chance. Everyone could shine. Now there's a handful of people in the room. But the senior leaders are there most of the time. I'm in the office. I'm out and about every day. I'm MD, dance in the office every day, right?
Yeah.
I think that just being present is pertinent.
Oh, big time. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. 100%. Absolutely. And I think the 5 principles you've shared with me, I absolutely love them. I think, people are going to be listening to this going, right, okay, what are my 5 principles? I'm going to be writing them out down. I've got no doubt. In terms of, has there been any, apart from, of course, my podcast, but has there been any other sort of resources or books or people that you personally follow as, I don't know, thought leaders, if you will, within the marketing remit that you'd advise people to get on board with?
There's all the regulars, and I listen to Scott Galloway a lot. I really admire
great.
what he has to say. Yeah, he's great. He just tells it how it is. It's great. I mean, there's, of course, Ritson, who is great. They're all the regular books, and I won't give you all the regular books because chances are, if you're passionate about marketing, you've already read them.
Yeah.
But I think that learning human behavior And what drives humans is sort of the core tenet of being a marketer. You need to understand what motivates them to walk into the store, to browse a particular item and purchase, but also to understand how they act extraneous to that. So there's a book that I've read recently, which is called The 48 Laws of Power.
Okay.
And it's by Robert Greene. It's a highly contentious book.
Right.
I think it's actually banned in jails because people can, And as I was reading it, I was thinking, wow, there's some really nasty stuff in here about how humans behave and the way that they treat each other and what drives and motivates that, just down to evolution, really. But as I was reading it, I realized, well, I don't want to do these things, but I'd love to know how people use these things against me. And being able to spot, well, that's that law. That's that law. And this is how they're manipulating me here. And this is why they're behaving like that there. So I found it astounding. And he's written another book about human behavior. So not just the laws of power, but the human behavior. And they're an incredible read. I'd urge anyone to read them. Yeah, Robert Greene is the name of the author. By the end of the book, you'll be neuron shaking, but you'll never be duped again.
It's really interesting, because I have a feeling, and look, I could be wrong, but I think it is the right book. There's a documentary recently on Netflix. I don't know if you've seen it. It's the Trainwreck series, and there was the one around the founder of American Apparel, who.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and I think he used to read that book, and
there you go.
He used to make all of his staff read it. It was part of their introduction as they were ordered.
There you go. So like I say, I mean, I don't read it to use it.
Yeah.
I read it to see what's been used against me.
Smart. Very smart. Very smart indeed. And then just finally curious, there's a lot of people at the moment that are told, you've got to network, it's about putting yourself out there. You've got to, it's the way of the world now. And I think to your point about being present, I agree. I think nowadays, the more you can be in an office or, within reason, of course. But I think, you've got to put yourself out there. What advice, and I know, look, I'm going to say it. I think for men particularly, they find that probably a little bit more, I'm going to say awkward, just from my experience when speaking to some of them. Like they're like, well, I just, God, turn up and don't really find it as comfortable. Is that something that you've had to work out, or do you just say, look, you just got to do it?
No, it definitely. So I'll give you another part of my background. I was born deaf.
Right.
So this year, even though I've got an iPod in there, it doesn't work.
Right.
I only put it in there because otherwise the noise cancelling doesn't work. Yes, I was born deaf. The first time I answered the phone, hello, I turned to mum and said, there's no one there. I was 4 years old.
Wow.
And she got on the phone and my dad was on the phone. She said, well, hang on, we've got a problem here. So anyway, my point is, for me to be in a social situation in a room full of noise and chaos is actually very hard because I have to maneuver myself in order to hear people. I can't hear very well. So back to seeking discomfort, I have to go into a room and just embrace, this is going to be hard, make it happen. Like just make it happen. Go and strike up a conversation, make sure you get on the right side of the person, and in other words, hear them. But I've been able to master that now, where I feel like I can walk into any room, strike up a conversation with anyone using a little technique, which I call ALF, which is ask a question, listen for the answer, and formulate another question based on the answer. And you can keep a conversation going forever based on those three things. And also, I think if I did my Myers-Briggs, I might be somewhere between extroverted and introverted, depending on the situation. But you have to be gregarious. You have to be sociable, affable, shake the right hands. But the whole networking thing is crucial, absolutely crucial. To get to know the right people, to recognize faces in the crowd, to have people reflect back to you that they know who you are and what you do and what you've done in your career, I think is vital. Because, and especially in Australia, this is a very small network.
Absolutely.
And look, let's be frank, if you fuck it up, you're in all sorts. So tread very carefully. Don't burn any bridges ever. But that doesn't mean just hold your punches. You can be frank and you can say the things that count, but there's no need to be nasty about it. So for me, networking is crucial. I also, not so much now, but probably over the past 10 years or so, I've done a lot of speaking engagements. And speaking is also something that never came naturally to me. Being deaf, I find it a little bit hard to hear myself speak sometimes. But I've just worked on it. I've had to work on it. And I find that it's almost an expectation as a marketer that you're also a great storyteller.
Yeah.
And that you need to be able to stand in front of a crowd. And as a senior leader, I literally find myself standing in front of a crowd every single day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like I've got 57 odd marketers that I need to address most days. We have exco meetings. We will sit in a meeting with Amanda Bardwell, CEO of Woolworths, an incredible leader. And you have to get your words out. Like you just have to get them out.
Mm-hmm.
So plan, prepare, just get in there and make it happen.
My goodness. Well, Ryan, I really, really enjoyed our conversation. I feel like I could chat to you for about another hour. I'm sure there'd be like other stuff that we've like unpack and uncover. I mean, there's a lot more to you than what you see, that's for sure. So thank you so much for being part of the episode today. I really appreciate it. And I just know there's going to be so many, I always say bite-sized nuggets of gold in this one that people I think are going to be really quite interested in.
No, it's been great fun. So thank you. Thank you, Lucy. I appreciate it.
You're very, very welcome. Remember, the road to CMO isn't always linear. It's filled with challenges, decisions, and moments of transformation. Whether you're charting your course or navigating a career shift, the experiences, wisdom shared today, as with our guests, is invaluable. Thank you for joining us. Keep dreaming big, keep pushing boundaries, and remember that your journey towards becoming a CMO is as much about the destination as it is about the growth you experience along the way. Until next time, continue to innovate, evolve, and carve out your path to CMO.